match has just finished. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. And honestly, I'm not even that angry about it because we did not deserve a single thing better than that out of that game. Starting at the beginning of the first half, Tottenham just played a lot of sideways, backwards passes because Wolves played very similar to how Brentford played against us and how teams are now going up against Spurs and this Ange ball system. They know that if they pack the narrow between the lines of the 18-yard box, play 11 behind the ball, press it when we've got it, and then break, then they will get results and make games hard for us. And today, Wolves, I think, had 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 gilt-edged opportunities to score more goals against Spurs. We didn't do anything. We didn't get in behind them at all. We barely made any chances until the last header of the game where we should have equalised, which would have been very fortunate. I'm here with Amir from Tottenham on Tour, who has had to, unfortunately, watch it with me. As we see in the background, Sonny and Postecoglou clapping the fans, but you've just got to say they didn't deserve any more out of it, did they, Amir?
No, we didn't deserve anything out of that game. Unlike yourself, Barnaby, I'm absolutely fuming inside because I saw these games, Wolves, Palace, as winnable games. You know, put us in a position that instead of looking behind us, we can be looking at the front three and start chasing them down. Instead, now it's the other way around. And I'm really trying to rack my brain, trying to figure out what can we do as a team to break down, because, you know, it's all well and good saying Wolves came here, they played the way they did, they frustrated us, they caught us on the break, the low block worked, which all true. But what did we do on our side of the game to try and combat that, to try and get round the low block, to, I don't know, instead, because everyone knows how we're going to line up, instead change something in the formation, do something unpredictable that will change the way they play. That's my thinking behind it, because it's just too easy to play against Tottenham Hotspur here. Teams can come from wherever it is in the land, Wolverhampton this time, come, play the way they want to play and go home with all the points. It's just too easy. Yeah,
look, I completely agree, and I think there's a few things to it that are worth bringing up. One is I just think there's a complete lack of, apart from maybe that first 5-10 minutes of the second half, a complete lack of tempo. When you're playing against a team who are set up in that manner, the way to get around it is to do it quickly, move the ball quickly, 1, 2-touch stuff, keep hold of the ball, you know, be careful with the ball and make the pressure be relentless, tire them out, and then you will make the spaces in behind. Apart from that kind of 10 minutes at the beginning of the second half, and I mentioned it at the time, right? We got the equaliser, it kind of came out of nowhere, and I said, but this is exactly what happened against Brighton, and then we dropped off again for another 20, 30 minutes. And frankly, after they scored the goal, it was absolute, like, child's play for Wolves.
Way too easy.
It was so easy for them. They were, like, laying the ball around us. And yes...
And they looked more likely.
Oh, yeah.
They looked more likely. Apart from that chance, we had one chance in that whole second half that I can think of. It was the Ben Davies one, last minute. He should be putting it away every day of the year. He's mixed up where he is in alignment to the goal, and he's just fluffed it. But apart from that, we had nothing. Yet Wolves came at us again and again and again, and actually should have put that game to bed way before, when they were on the break and it was 3-on-1. Yeah, sometimes you've got to hold your hands up. We said towards the beginning of the game, Brighton were very impressive last week. I think Wolves have just been watching Brighton and just... One thing I would say, actually, is Basuma had more time on the ball than Bentancur did last week against Brighton. So we were okay. We weren't pressed quite as high there. But you're absolutely right in terms of when we lost control of the ball in the final third, which was a lot, because we're not careful enough with it, and we don't have a number 9 who is able to kind of let the ball stick to him well enough. It was only ever one pass or 1.5, 2 passes out, and they were in at us. 2-on-2, 3-on-3. And, of course, they scored 2 goals in the end, because they should have scored about 6. And that is a flaw. That is a flaw. And I wonder, you know, you watch Man City and they get a lot of men forward and they're very brave, but they have Rodri. And Rodri just clears everything up. Now, the person who has to clear everything up for us is Mickey van der Ven. Like, without Mickey van der Ven, you know, I dread to think, because his pace allows us to just, you know, clear up so many opportunities. But today was very poor, I should say. So the goals were 41st minute Gomez, 46th minute equaliser from Deki Kulusevski. Like I said, kind of out of nothing, but in that first 5-10 minutes of the second half, we were in decent shape. And then the sucker punch, well,
hold on. I was going to call it a sucker punch. The 63rd minute deserved winner, from Wolves. Just desperately looking through my team sheet, trying to find some positives from today. As I said, Van der Ven played well and Basuma was okay. But where we needed some creativity, and I know Maddison is coming back from injury, and of course Bentancur is as well and didn't start today, we really struggled. And I know we've all been calling for Sonny to come back, and of course he was responsible for that winner last week. But the reason he was responsible for that winner is because he is top class when there is space to run at. Right? And that goal last week was because there was space to run at on the left side, and he got that left side. He didn't have space at all today. There was always a defender in front of him, Semedo, who had a great game. And we got a couple of half-decent left-footed crosses across the front. Richarlison didn't make the right run. It never, ever really looked like scoring.
This is where, for me, when you mentioned earlier maybe doing a shift at the back and playing two up top, playing a Sonny and Richie, that for me would have been the only kind of thing that you could have done second half to just surprise them, to think, oh, what's this? What's going on here? Oh, what? Sonny is now a striker now and he's not out on the left. Yeah. Okay, how do we adjust to this? That for me would have been the kind of thing that a manager could do to tactically affect the game. For me, not only did we lose that game due to Wolves' brilliance, but we tactically lost that game in that we came with all our cards showing on the table.
Yeah.
All of them.
Everybody knows how we're going to play.
All of them, yeah. So teams know, okay, we do this is our game plan. And it worked to a T for Wolves today. And this is where, I know some may have a go at me in the comments, some may say I'm talking nonsense, but I've been saying it for a while now. I don't think Ange knows his best midfield. I think that although we're loving the football, the way, we're going forward, we're going at teams, I'm not loving that football today. I'm not loving that first half today. And I think Ange, as much as he says he's persistent in the way he wants to play his football, it's the way where I go, or the attacking football, fantastic. But find a solution, mate. Find a solution to these low blocks that come to us. Yeah. Because it's going to just continue otherwise.
I think you especially have to find a solution to those low blocks when you have two injuries in your fullback positions who are arguably two of the most technically competent players in your team. So obviously there was no Destiny Udogie today and no Pedro Porro. I thought Ben Davies played pretty well, and I think Royale kind of defensively did what you'd expect Royale to do. He's a good defender. But your ability to play that kind of 1-2 touch stuff through the midfield that we saw in those first 10 games of the season with that exact central midfield, i.e. Bissouma, Sarr and Maddison, inability to do it because Royale is never going to play a first touch ball return and make the run for him. No. And nor is Ben Davies, to be honest. So where I agree with you about that kind of almost, and it's a cliche, but the where is the plan B option is, I think every Spurs fan could have told you before this game that without Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie, it was going to be harder to create in that central midfield. So what did we have to do better? These are the questions Ange should be asking his coaching team this week. Like, what can we do different to surprise Wolves so that, they have to defend in a different way? And there was no evidence of any of that happening. And actually, taking that example of the cross that Kulusevski put in for Ben Davies, maybe it is as simple as with 20 minutes to go, right, okay, look, we're going to have to take a risk here. Get it out to Kulusevski, tell him to whip a load in and get Romero or get some more people crowding the box. But actually in that last 20 minutes, there was so much sameness of just their 11 men, their 10 men, 10 defenders between the 18-yard box and like 23 yards out, and us passing it side to side to side to side to side to side. No cross coming in because he's taken Richarlison off around that time as well.
The subs had no impact either. You question, you're putting all these balls into the box, last 10, 15 minutes of the game. Who's there that can head the ball?
Yeah. Can I say one thing as well that I just wrote down? I do feel like in these games particularly, Ange ball relies quite a lot on brilliance, by which I mean creativity and the ability to unlock a very tightly shut door, right? A little through ball between the lines of, a very, very specific type of brilliance that I think only in today's game Maddison had the ability to do. Arguably Kulusevski, but wasn't really often in that kind of central pocket. He was out wide most of the time. And I think, to break down games like this, you're relying on some brilliance like that or some long shots, and we don't have long shots. No. I can think of one from Maddison. And I think we are going to have to learn to take a few more shots because you'll win corners. It'll be deflected. Remember the one against West Ham? They had a long shot. It deflected twice off our defenders, and they scored as a result.
Yep.
You can't, it's that old cliche, isn't it? You do the same thing over and over again, it's not going to change. And Ange, I think, will surely see that.
So I can remember being sat here watching the Brighton match with you, Barnaby, and, we were coming out of that first half just saying, why are we not shooting? No shots, no shots. And yet again, you're seeing here a pattern. So, I'm looking for Ange for the next games. I'm really looking at him and I'm assessing his performance here. And what can he do? Because although you don't have to make that crazy, formation change and stick two up top. You don't have to. It can be an instruction, on-pitch instruction. Guys, shoot. Every time you're around that box, shoot. I don't care if it doesn't go in. Like you said, could come off, great save, corner.
Can I just bounce off that quickly? The other thing is, if you do shoot a few times, then when you're shaping to shoot, the defenders are going to slide at you, and then if you make a last-minute decision to slip it in, that defender's not there anymore. But because they've watched the last 3 games and they've watched the whole game today, and they're like, well, they don't shoot from there, so we don't need to dive in. No. Do you know what I mean? It is quite, it's just another thing, and it's interesting that you say that's what we were banging on about last time. Do we now have a 100% record of losses watching these games together?
I don't want to get into these records. Records are there to be broken, but it's not looking good for you and me.
As I said at the beginning, the sad thing for me is that I'm not, I know you're fuming and you should be, but it feels like we deserve to lose, and therefore I just it happens sometimes. But I think
here's the thing, Barnaby. The fans don't deserve to lose. The fans,
no, of course.
The fans there, they come, they pay their money, they sing their hearts out, they give everything for this club, and to get that back, to me, that's not good enough. That's just simply and utterly not good enough. If we had gone down fighting, hit the post 3 times, creating loads of chances, it would be a different Amir here on the post-match show. Yeah. But because it's the way we've gone down without a fight, and we've telegraphed the game. Yeah. We've said, here, this is the way we play. Come at us, do your thing. Bit of brilliance on your side. We'll make a mistake. We won't mark a defender for the corner.
Oh God,
we'll go 1-0 up.
We haven't even mentioned that goal, shameful.
And that's what's happened. Yeah. And like you were saying, all the other performances, even when we were winning, okay, we beat Brighton at the depth, and
Everton,
Brentford. It was all leading up to this.
Yeah, it was.
We haven't put a team to bed like we did against Burnley earlier in the season. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for this match. Yeah. I was saying to myself in my head before coming to the studio, I would love it to be 3-1 and have a 2-goal lead by the 70th minute. But we're just not capable of doing that. We're not good enough to do that. Yeah. And this is where Ange needs to take us to the next level. And he'll have the summer window to do that. Yeah. So
Before we leave, I just wanted to bring up one other thing, which is I think we are severely lacking a player who can do something a bit different, by which I mean we've got creativity in Maddison, and I would argue that Maddison and actually Lo Celso are similar players in terms of how they utilise their creativity.
They are, yeah.
Good through balls, a little jink and a drop of a shoulder here. They can shoot pretty well from outside of the box. Good vision. What we don't have in this squad, in my opinion, is a single kind of surprise magic player. Somebody like a
Bale.
Well, obviously a Bale, they're looking like top level. But what I'm talking about is like someone like almost like a Doku, actually, who Man City went and got, right? Who he can just beat a man at will. His acceleration is so quick. And that makes oppositions defend in a different way. They don't know. Is he going to play inside because that's what Pep wants? Or is he sometimes just going to drop and run? Brennan Johnson, he will get better and he's got pace, but he's more suited to like Conte ball and breaking. Mm-hmm. He would do incredibly in that Wolves team, right?
He would.
But what we need to look at, in my opinion, in the summer, and I don't have names off the top of my head, but is players who can do something a little bit different from a standing start or a bit of magic. And even Sonny, I'd say, he's not that magic player. He's great when you're on the transition, and he's his decision making and his finishing is top class. But we need someone who can offer us something a little bit different. And I'd love to know in the comments from you guys, or come and talk to us on our post-match reaction show, which will be in about 10 minutes' time, and we can talk a little bit more about that. To finish this one off, guys, it feels to me a little bit, and Amir said it, like this one was coming, and maybe we deserved it. And Wolves they did a number on us today, and that's what happens.